Hello everybody, this is Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. So, I don't know how much of this is going to record because I thought my phone was fully loaded with no service left on the phone, or no room left on, no storage left on the phone. But I'm try to rip a quick video. Okay, we've been on the Expedition 2020 into the Adirondack Mountains. The quest for Sasquatch continues. Today, I've put some miles on these boots. Hiked to the top of one mountain. Put out apples and a brownie for a treat. Checked out the rock stack in the perimeter. Found two possible trackways. Come down off that mountain, walked all the way out of here to the truck to power up the chainsaw, electric chainsaw, batteries, and my other devices as well. And while I came out, that's closest to the Sasquatch candy store. So ended up walking to the top of that mountain while I left my truck running. And now we're hiking the 2 miles back into base camp. It is nighttime. It is very cold. A mix of sleet and freezing rain. Freezing rain, sleet and rain. There's no ice on anything. Earlier today came in straight sleet, high winds. It's not going to be super comfortable. First night on the expedition. It's 6:49. You could have heard a pin drop at Long Pond. No moon, completely dark, no wind, completely silent. It was eerie. And then in light of all that eeriness, I heard a clear, indefinite tree knock. No other breaking branch or of the such could make that noise. That was a tree knock. What knocked the tree? Well, I don't know. I don't think there's any other hunters back over into there. So I really truly believe it was a Sasquatch. But I didn't see the Sasquatch. So there's still a little bit of room for doubt. Okay, so since then, I get up in the morning. I eat a great breakfast from Patriot Food Supplies. I get camp set up, get my gear packed up, and I start hitting the ground. I've been scouring all the swamps in the area. I've put 5-6 miles, maybe 8-9 miles a day on these boots and body. I am sore, I am tired. I've been in here since Thursday afternoon. It is Sunday, November 15th, and I am going to be coming out late Tuesday afternoon so that I can get payroll done and get my guys paid for Friday. Make no mistake about it. This is a good time. So when I heard that tree knock, I gotta tell you folks, all right, being up here alone by myself, the adrenaline started flowing to the point it got euphoric because there was no mistaking what that was. So I knew something on the other side of the pond, without a flashlight, without making any other noise, knocked on the side of a tree, or knocked two pieces of wood together. That was it. That was the end of it. I heard a barred owl. That's what a lot of Adirondackers think are bears hooting. It's not. It's a barred owl. Look it up. I think I heard a screeching owl. Plenty of coyotes. Again, we have that bear up here, so a little nervous walking in. I've made sure that I've kept my camp 100% clean as a whistle. I wash off everything clean. Get all the food is zipped, locked in a air sealed bag. The remainder of the food that I don't eat, I put in the water. The minnows are loving it. Actually had some nice brook trout come in and hit them minnows. And it's not fishing season here, so I couldn't bring in my pole. My trophy for the year will be a will be a Bigfoot track, Sasquatch track. You know, that would be great. It's probably not going to happen this year, and I'm not going to go out in the winter and try to track them down. As the leader of our cooperation, Todd Standing, says, you know, you go out and start pushing them in the winter, it's really tough for them. And you might push them a little too hard, and you know, they could starve to death, or they could lose one of their little ones, or an elder or something, you know. So I guess he's right. Shouldn't be out chasing them around in the wintertime. So walking in here in this super bad weather, it reminds me of a time when I was, I couldn't have been 14, 15 years old. I was with old Billy Fry, one of my dad's best friends, and he wanted to go up to Palmer Pond and go fishing. Late afternoon, and he had a couple beers, but he's ready to go. So we got some minnows and bait and beer and everything. We're all set and headed in. And of course, you know, he's drinking, and I was not. And we get around, take the main trail all the way into the pond, and then there's a small trail that's, you know, not very, very well traveled, that breaks off to the left, and that'll take you around to the very other side of the pond. A nice little fishing spot, family favorite. Whew, man, I'm whooped. And so we take off. When we got on that trail that's very faint, Billy just picked a gap in these little hemlocks, started walking out through it, and I told him, I said, Bill, that's not the way, man. And he's like, yes, it is. And you just got to know Bill. Oh, he's funny. Great guy, just real funny. And I'm like, Bill, I'm telling you, we got to go stay to the right next to the pond. We can't be bearing off to the left away from the pond. And he's just like, no, damn it, Jonathan, I know I might be half in the bag, and I know you're pretty good in the woods, you know, but come on now, trust me, I know where I'm going. All right, well, here we go. And we didn't walk more than 15 minutes, and Billy says, looked at me with that smile and grin and a little snicker, and he goes, He goes, I think you're right. I said, yeah, I know I'm right. So I kind of like turned around and pointed towards the area that I figured by then we needed to head. But knowing now, we had already gone past the pond. And so, you know, he's like, all right, well, let's head over that way. We should, you know, be able to hit the pond. And I'm like, boy, Bill, I really think that we should just turn around and backtrack to where you turned off. And then from there, we could head out. So he's like, he goes, I mean, only been 15 minutes. He goes, come on, let's go. So off we go. And I'm telling you, like, we've got a case of beer, buckets, ice, fishing poles, bait buckets, you name it. We're in there for the night. And got all of our camping gear, so on and so forth. And then it starts to rain and the wind starts to pick up. This is kind of the same weather we're having right now. And we start heading out through the woods and we run into this hemlock forest and muck and mud and swampy marsh. And I'm like, Bill, I know where we are. We're way down too far. We're going to end up hitting the power lines way over by Loon Lake. He's like, damn it, John. He goes, now, there'll only be one chief here. And I need you to just let me think. I knew he's getting nervous, but he's pounding beer. And at that point, I'm thinking to myself, well, whatever. I've been in the woods at nighttime my whole life. What's another night? So we kept on going and following him. You know, and sure enough, after a little bit, he turned around and said, I'm lost. I'm like, yeah, you are. We're way lost. He's like, all right. He goes, have it your way. He says, let's go. Wherever you think we need to go, I'll follow you. Because I definitely don't know where I am. So, by then, you know, I don't know where we are. I have no idea. I had been looking up at the, what's that? ATF lock. I don't know what that is. All right. Hopefully I didn't just shut this off. But by that time, you know, I had been looking up at the stars and the moon, and like I do with hunting during the day with the sun. I'm just always, you know, taking a look at where the sun is, which way I'm facing, which way I'm walking, looking at the mountains around me. Of course, at night you can't see none of that. But the stars and the moon, I just kind of had the right idea about where we needed to go. The problem is that I did not realize in following Bill for about 2.5, 3 hours that we had already traveled way beyond the mountain that surrounds this pond. So even following myself, we kept going, and then I had to stop and think to myself, all right, basically Route 8 heads northwest in the opposite direction of that. And I know that Riparius and Loon Lake, Chestertown, and all of the such were in that direction. So basically was paying attention to which way the moon was traveling and said, okay, moon's coming up in the east, setting in the west. I'm like, Bill, the best I can say right now is start heading for Route 8. Mind you, it's about 1:30 in the morning now. So off we go. And we kept walking. And most of the time we were in really thick forest, coming into some really heavy evergreen swamps. And then about the time Bill was staggering drunk, it'd become just a drunken fool. But just such a nice guy. He wasn't a problem. He just was a problem because he was drunk. And but all of a sudden he says, whoa, see that? I couldn't see nothing. And he kept, well, look this way, look that way. No, I don't see it. Well, he did see it, because after we had traveled about another 5-10 minutes, all of a sudden I saw it. And then I could get a look at it. It was a light. It was like, hallelujah. See the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm exhausted. Now it's 2:30 in the morning. So we walk on out, and we come out to somebody's house that wasn't near a main road. And looking through the back slider window, it was this, I'm guessing, a husband and a wife. We didn't ask them about their life's history, but there's a guy and a girl in there doing carpentry work in an addition on the back of their house. Got beer cans sitting on the floor. Well, Bill's like, what are we gonna do? I'm like, well, we could just walk right down their driveway and until we hit a road and then figure out where we're at. And he's like, frig that, ask them if they'll give us a ride. I'm like, oh my God. He goes, I ain't doing it, you do it. You're a kid, they'll definitely give you a ride. So he waited up in their yard, and I knocked on their window, and I scared them to death. I couldn't think of a way to not scare them. Well, they were in a state of shock. 2:30 in the morning, this 14-year-old kid comes strolling up on their back porch. Of course, they live a quarter of a mile up in the woods too. So it scared them. I told them what was going on. I never asked them for a ride. I just asked them where we were and what way we needed to go to get to Palmer Pond. They didn't even know where I was talking about. Had to give them some other landmarks. Finally, they had a rough idea which way I was headed, and I knew we had about 5 miles to walk before we even hit the bottom of the hill that you start to drive up into to go to Palmer Pond. And then we had probably about a mile and a half uphill to get up to the parking lot where the truck was. You know, I went and told Billy, he's like, hey, didn't offer up a ride. You didn't ask him? No. Well, you gotta ask. I'm like, I'm not asking them. They're freaked right out. I can't even believe that. Like, they are really seriously bugged out. And he's like, oh my God. I'm like, all right, well, let's go, Bill. Come on, let's go. All right, my God. I'll go ask them. Well, about then, they came outside, the lady did, and said, do you guys want to ride? Yes. So the husband got his stuff together, put us in the truck, and he drove us up to our truck. What a blessing that was. What a trip. And then, can you believe this? that guy leaves after the thank yous. Billy gave him $20. And that guy drives away. And Billy looks at me and he says, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, you want to go back in? He's like, hell yeah, I came here to fish. And those rainbows, they're going to be biting right around now, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. You would get them minnows out. Of course, you weren't supposed to be fishing with minnows, but we brought them. And so we did too. I told him, I says, the only way I'll go back in there is you just be quiet and let me walk us back into that pond. He said, yeah, no problem. So we did, walked all the way back in, took the proper trail. I showed him where he screwed up. We laughed. We walked right around the pond, put the poles out. The wind was blowing so hard that there was white caps in this pond, blowing right at us. We get all the poles all set and put down, and Billy sat down, and I was putting a fire together. Now the rain had stopped, and it was actually seemed as if it had warmed just a little. And I was talking to Bill about everything that was going on, and then all of a sudden he says, or he didn't say anything. I says, Bill? I looked over. He's passed right out. He's done. He's snoring. So I sat down, and I'm just watching the poles, and he had put a great big old bobber on one. And I'm looking out there. I cannot see that bobber. And about the time I thought to get up, I looked at the end of his pole, and this thing was about headed for the pond. And I'm like, Bill. This guy jumps up out of a dead sleep like he knew right where that pole was. Never said a word. He just jumps up, runs up to the pole, gives it a yank. Get the effing net. And this guy caught like I think he got it mounted. It was like a 21-inch tiger trout. That's a mix between a brown and a splake. It was an experiment. They put those into a lot of the ponds around this area, including Long Pond. And but they were an aggressive fish, like cannibalistic, and they were hurting the rest of the brook trout and rainbow trout and brown trout. So they ended up having to kill off all the ponds, including Long Pond here. Up until that point, Long Pond was a natural native brook trout pond that then got stocked prior to getting killed off. But when my grandfather and my dad brought me up here, the stocking program was real young. Had just started, and my grandpa, like, we'd catch trout and pull it out, and the ones that had the really white defined tips on their, not tips, it's like the bottom half of their shoot, make sure I'm not gonna walk right off, the bottom halves of their fins, really bright white, dark red spots on them, dark black across their back. They're little cutthroat trout, beautiful dark paint bellies. And you knew the difference between those and those stock trout. They were beautiful. But yeah, old Billy Fry, Palmer Pond, 14 years old, up all night long. But he caught that one nice tiger trout, and then that morning when we woke up, I don't know, we caught a mixture of trout. They were all 12, 13 inches, 9, 10 inches. It was a good fishing trip. We were exhausted. It was good times, man. Good times. Well, it looks like we got probably about another 3/8 of a mile before we get to base camp. So I don't want to burn up all of the available storage that my phone somehow managed to salvage. So this is Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. Almost back to base camp on the Expedition 2020. The quest for Sasquatch continues. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to tune in for the other videos upcoming. I'm going to put together a culmination of videos, or all one nice big video for to cover my entire expedition, but I have one video that I need to put together that I did prior, about a week and a half ago, up in this area. I'll probably put that out first, then I may put this out, and then I've got to do quite a bit of work to get the other one put out. It should be pretty cool. And hope we got what, 1, 2, let's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we got 2 more days. Say a prayer for me. Hopefully we find a track. I know that I did find some very credible evidence that could be Sasquatch. It could be anything. Any of this stuff could be anything, you know. But when you're researching Sasquatch and you know that they do tree breaks, and you know that they make nests, and you know that they leave tracks, and you know that they do wood knocks, you know they do rock clacks, and so you know, you investigate. I have a log book that I keep track of everything in. I do so much. I really have tried to put my all into this summer, and I was so excited to go on the expedition with Todd Standing and Kyle. Kyle, if I tried to repeat your last name, I'd slaughter it. So until I speak with you and you tell me how it's pronounced, I'll stay off from that. But I was really hoping Kyle might stop in here for a day, but he was busy with work. And Todd, boy, I'll tell you, I hope that I heard this right, because in one of my videos, I actually, you know, made sure I expressed my concerns and gave my condolences that, you know, Todd had lost his father recently, and that's just, I couldn't imagine. I really just couldn't even imagine something like that happening. So my heart goes out to you, Todd, and I guess we're gonna reschedule the trip, and when that happens, that'll be kept a secret until after the trip is over with. So, you know, I guess if this thing will keep running, we'll just take you right into base camp here, as long as I don't get twisted up in the woods. And right now I'm on no trail whatsoever. This last quarter mile is just trying to remember where you are and where the pond is. But as long as I head downhill and keep bearing to my right, I should start to hit water here pretty quick, and then I'll follow the edge of the pond right up. And yeah, so looks like should be a little fireplace here pretty quick. Right there. Okay, there's the old, we're right on track. And wow, I gotta tell you, doing this video, it's made the trip go quite a bit quicker. And I'm not sure, you know, what it was, but I didn't want to stop talking, and maybe you guys saw it in the video, but probably like 3 minutes ago, just before I turned off this trail, you might have seen me kind of hesitate and look at something reflecting down in the woods. I did that twice. That was orange. The color of that brightness was orange. Now the reflectors, there's blue round circles with a white snowmobile on it, and maybe tomorrow night I'll check out and see what kind of reflection those have on it. Yeah, I saw something and I thought it was a set of eyes, and it was about 5-6 feet up off the ground. Deer's eyes light up green. I know bear eyes light up brown, and I'm hoping that ain't what that was, because that is the one thing that I worry about in here is bear. But either way, I'm glad you guys could stick it out here with me. I hope you enjoyed the story, the Palmer Pond fishing expedition with the elusive Billy Fry. And here we are. Ooh, jeepers. Them beavers, they chew off sticks about 6 inches up off the ground, only ½ inch around. They'll trip you up. So here's camp. Whew, I'm winded. I have to get a fire going here. Well, there's my cooking area, and there's the pond. I guess you just really can't see. You can see the water, but you can't see much out there. And you know, here's camp. All right, here it is. Okay, got a tarp pulled down. We're all set up for this rain. I'm gonna be sleeping right down here in this hole, and I made damn sure that no water was going to be able to get anywhere near the perimeter of this. And I dug little ditches, make sure all of it is going to flow completely over to this side, and then it's going to go out and run away from my tent. And yeah, so here we are. Oh God, yeah. Woo. All right, so make sure that, okay, yeah, sure. Sorry, that's, whoa, yeah. Oh, yeah, got some rope. We got, here, I'll just come back out here. So we got plenty of firewood underneath of the tarp. That's twice I've cut up enough firewood for that. I'll tell you what, that little chainsaw is just is heaven. So let's wrap this up before this video shuts off. This is Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks out here in the Adirondack Mountains, getting her done. Thank you. Say a prayer for me. I really want to track. And thank you for tuning in. Have a good evening.